Hey guys, welcome back to Waters Family Homestead. Alright, as you can see, all the tomato plants have been pulled. All that rain we got, I had 3 watermelons split open. I had to pull and give to the chickens and they destroyed them. But I've got a small one growing in the raised bed over there. You see it starting to die back. But I got one large one right here that has not split yet. The stem is turning brown, the end is, the beginning of it is not. So, I picked the last one when it was completely brown and it still wasn't ripe, so I have no idea. There's another one right there that's ready to be picked, or not ready to be picked, waiting on it to get ripe. How about that? I think that's all that's left. Rose bushes got quite a few blooms on it. Not as big as it did when spring hit, but okay. So I've got a couple of squash growing on this plant that the bugs hadn't got to. They're not bad. They're 4 or 5 inches, but not quite big enough to pick yet. And then the little plant in the pot there is starting to grow a little more. We've had a pretty much mild week for southwest Georgia with all that rain coming in and temperatures dropping and all. It's beautiful out here today. It's in the, dang, I might even say it's in the 70s. It's almost perfect. But it rained twice today already. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9. There's a lot of squash growing on that plant. They're small, but hopefully they'll do something. And this one, it's got some in there. The wind blew it a little while ago. It was blowing pretty hard. But I got to get all the tomato cages picked up and put up and pull the weeds out of the soil here, and I'm gonna dump all these grow bags in this middle bed. And oh yeah, and there's another watermelon inside the raised bed there, so there's 4 left. 3 large ones and then that small one. And like I say, none of them have split yet, but I just don't know when they're ripe. I've picked a few and none of them were ripe. But either way, so all the soil from the grow bags will get dumped into these 2 new raised beds that don't have hardly any in them. And then I'll add more to them next year, and some of my compost from the chicken pens. And get them filled up so I can plant in those beds next year. I will not be planting watermelon in the greenhouse next year. Y'all see how much that thing has grown. The bed that those plants were in was 4 by 4, and these are 3 by 8. These other long ones over here are 4 by 8, but it's grew past, and I've thrown it back. I've thrown it back several times, so it's down here and curling back around. It's grown 15 feet. So there will not be any watermelons planted inside the greenhouse next year. But I learned a lot. Robbie, thank you for the encouragement. Tony, thank you for the encouragement. I have learned a lot. I do know I don't want to plant squash and zucchini next to each other, and I want to do the 3 sisters method on some of it. I may have to do that in the yard. I don't know, but I'll figure something out. But I will be planting a lot more green beans next year because they did phenomenal with 6 little plants. And I'll probably do something like butter beans and all that. I'm not going to plant corn in a raised bed anymore. It's just didn't work out near as good as what I planted in the ground. But that's my plan, is to get, once the watermelons are done, I'll pull all them vines and mess and clean it up. You notice my mower got the corner here, so I folded it under and re-stapled it down. So I'll get all that cleaned up, and hopefully next year I'll be able to do more. I did pull the squash plant from over there. The vine borers were getting every squash that grew on it, so I threw it out in the yard. When I finish cutting grass, I'll mulch it up. But these 2 over here This, I mean, I'm sure they got vine borers, everything else did, but so far they're doing really well, so I'm going to let them do what they do. So there's a few weeds that are growing. I try to pull them up by the roots and just throw it out. But for the most part, the grow bags did really well when it came down to the weeds. But I need to mix that soil better with my compost so I have more nitrogen mixed in with the compost. But I pulled some weeds around some of the poles. I've got to finish that end over there pulling. So I'm, you know, a little along in between rain showers and so on. I came out a couple hours ago and was going to work a little bit, and it started raining, and it was a light sprinkle, so I kept going, and then that light sprinkle turned into heavy wind and rain, and it rained hard. As you can see, the chicken run area, the holes they've dug for dirt bathing are full, so it rained pretty hard for just a little while. But I got to prune that peach tree back. There's still one peach way up high that I couldn't reach, but I'm pleased with it. So my buddy Aaron did come by day before yesterday and get some chickens. Now, him and his wife, chicken math hit them hard, y'all. He bought his wife an incubator from the hens that I gave them, and she started hatching babies, and 60+% of the chickens they've been hatching have been roosters. So they still don't have a lot of hens. So that's why I told them they could have some. And they got here. I just told them they can have anything they want except Sue and his girlfriend. Those were my pets. Anything else they wanted, they could have. They ended up getting, I think, a couple of the teenager babies, and then I think 3 of the smaller babies. It might be reversed. Either way, they got about 5 of the babies, and then they got 7 of the large adult hens. So that'll definitely increase their egg production with 7 more adult hens. And I know some of my babies are going to be roosters, so they could have gotten a few more of those as well, which he didn't care. He said he'll process them, put them in the freezer. But she got here and saw Tom Turkey. His feathers are just now starting to grow back. He's been molting. She saw him and said she wanted him too. I said, load him up. So the Tom Turkey is gone, which he doesn't do much but stay on the roost anyway. But so old Big Tom is gone. 7, I think, of the adult hens are gone. And then about 5 of the babies are gone. So that reduced my numbers a little bit. I was hoping they'd take at least a dozen adults. So there's still 4 or 5 more that could find a new home if somebody local wanted them. But they took a couple Easter eggers, which I wasn't planning on letting go, but they wanted them, so I let them have them. And I haven't even collected eggs since they got the chickens, so I don't even know. I know they got a gray one. Might have gotten 2. Hold on a second. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they took 2 gray Easter eggers. So that left the 1. A guy, Mexican, Hispanic guy, rode by on a 4-wheeler, and his dog, one of the ones that attacked and killed all my chickens, just followed him running down the dirt road. That ain't supposed to happen, so I am wearing my sidearm. If that dog comes in my yard, I'm gonna drop it like a hot biscuit, whether he's on his 4-wheeler in the front or not. Won't record that, of course, but I'm not putting up with that crap again. But either way, they know better. So I believe I've got, I'm looking for them. They may have gotten the black Easter eggers as well, at least some of them. I think there's one that I see inside the pen, but there's an, all right, that's a sex link. I can't tell what this one is that's in the pen. It may be a sex link too. So this may be an Easter egger. No, she don't look like it in the face. They may have gotten more Easter eggers than I thought they did. But either way, doesn't matter to me. Easter eggers aren't the best egg layers, but they do lay, and the chickens weren't mean, so that works for me. And I do plan on letting, if I get a hen that gets broody and wants to set, I do plan on letting her hatch as many as she can next time as well. So that's going to be more. And then of course all the roosters that I don't need, once they're identified as roosters, will be separated. I'll probably turn the first pen into what's some of y'all call a bro pen, and put all the males together in one pen, so they don't have a reason to fight without females there. So we'll just have to see how that works out. As long as there's females around, the roosters are going to fight. And of course they'll fight a little bit when there ain't no hens around, but for the most part, as long as they're all males, they tend to get along pretty decent. So I told them they could not have the two little ones here that have feathers on the feet. And that's both of them right there, believe it or not. The little brown one's got feathers on her legs, and then the black one's laying down right there's got feathers on its legs. I think they're both going to end up being roosters probably. But either way, it's so hard to tell. I'm pretty sure that chicken right there is a hen. That one up there is hard to tell if it's a hen or a rooster. I think it's a hen. I think that one is a rooster. I think that one's a hen. The larger ones are the ones I'm talking about. And then there's a bunch of smaller babies in the pen. So my grandson stayed the weekend with me, my older grandson, the 10-year-old. He's the one that loves to come to Pawpaw's every time he can. So, well, they all do, but he's least troubles when he's here with me by himself. So we try to get things done, and he'll actually motivate me. He's like, come on, Pawpaw, we got to do so-and-so. We got to do this. So I enjoy him being here. He told me it's time for us to work on the old 53 Harry Ferguson and get it running, and I agree with him. I need to get a battery for it because both of those were bad, and I've got new fuel bowl and all that stuff, so I've got a bunch of parts already, but I'm going to need more. And once we get it running, at least I'll be able to drive it. And even though the hydraulics aren't working, you know, maybe I can get the hydraulics looked at down the road. But I did pull, and he was going to help me, but my middle daughter showed up with her 3 grand youngins Saturday, and I pulled the nesting box out from inside the pen, took it down, brought it out, cut about a foot of the height off of it, and then put it back together and put more boards, as you can see, up to stop the chickens from roosting on top of it. It's too steep now, so they have to roost over on the roof. But it made the nesting box a lot smaller and easier to manage as far as toting it, and there was no need in it being that tall. So hopefully the chickens will like it and want to nest in there. I've still got to buy some straw. I keep forgetting, but so I did get that done. My daughter helped me with that a little bit. So I got a few things done this weekend other than the normal filling up the feeders, washing the waterers out, letting them refill, all that. I did not get into chicken pen with the mower, mainly I would, but every time I get time to get on the mower to do it, it rains a little bit, and I just don't want to do it when the grass is all wet. So it can wait. The chickens like it anyway. But I have really been thinking lately about adding another gate to the outside down in the last section of fencing, and I'll walk down there and show y'all. Hang on a second. All right, so before I walk down there, that's today's rain. It's a line over the half-inch mark. Two truckloads of probably his family also rode by in front of him. That dog should be coming back by, and if it don't, he comes in this yard, I'm gonna drop it. It might have been in the truck with him, I don't know. But if that livestock guardian dog that's never been trained comes by and comes in my yard, he's not gonna have a good day. I'm sorry. All right, I'll walk down here and show y'all what I'm talking about and explain to you why I'm thinking of doing this. My buddy over there in Arizona, Oklahoma, I think, I'm not sure, says, how many gates do you need, Michael? Well, I do have quite a few gates, but they have a purpose. I use every one of them. And the reason I'm thinking about putting a gate down here, pull this T-post, put a wood post in and put a gate right there, is really just so I could, well, I may just add a post here where the wire, it needs to be 6 foot, you know, 5.5, 6 foot gate. But if I add a gate here, I can open it up and let the main flock come out and free range in all the grass and yard. And it's on the back end of what I consider yard. You can see we're 100 yards from the road up there, and they're not normally going to go towards Sparky anyway, but that will allow me to open up and let them range back here. Right now, if I want to let these chickens out to free range, I have to open this gate, and then they go through that run area and then open this gate or the other one and let them out. And it's just too much going on. That means the middle pen has to be locked up inside the covered pen in order to do that. Otherwise, I end up mixing the flocks, and the roosters get next to each other and want to fight and all that mess, and I don't want to deal with that. So if I put a gate down here, I could just open it up and let this flock free range and do, you know, do their job, eating bugs and all of that. And we have been picking a few scuplins. There's not enough there for me to do anything with this year since it's first year, but I'm pleased with it. But see, we're not that far. We're 25, 30 yards from the raised bed garden, and they could scratch and pick all the way around this area, especially once these two burn piles are burned, and help control some of the insect population. And like where I'm standing is in the middle of the old garden area. So this garden, the reason this grass is so thick and so green is because their original pen, the middle 8x8 building there, was built on skids, and I put it back here and let them scratch and eat the grass, and then when it was gone, I slid it up and let them do that, and I did that all the way down. This garden's about 90 feet long, and then I slid it over and came back, and I did that in 3 or 4 different rows over 2 or 3 years, and they scratched and ate and fertilized this ground. Now, since I've done that, I have gained a little bit more yardage. I need to take those cedar trees down and that pine tree, but you see I've gained yardage there that would not be used as garden anyway. It starts going downhill toward that little bit of the drainage ditch that's in there. So I'm not really concerned with that. The yard's big enough. The grass is plenty to cut, I promise you. It's just a matter of that would give them an area to where they could run and scratch, and they'll go back up to their roost at night. I would not let them out every day. If you let them out, leave them out, and don't lock them into their pen, they'll start roosting all kinds of places, under your barn and everywhere else. And so I'd let them out in the evenings when I come home for a few hours, and then at night they'd all end up going back to roost. And it may be a few more days before I let them out again, but it's good for the chickens to be able to free range like that. So that's my idea anyway. One more gate, at least on the chicken pens area. So if I put a gate here, that'd make them come right out into the grassy area, and easy for me to allow them to free range. So also easier for me to get the mower in, because I won't have to go through 2 gates to get in there with the mower. So it benefits me. A little bit of work building the gate and putting the post in and all that good stuff, but I've already got hinges. I've got posts. I do need to buy more posts, but I've got posts, and 2x4s and whatever to build a gate is nothing. So I'd probably have to buy more fence, more chicken wire. But look at the amount of rain's in this doggone bed liner. 4 inches deep over there. Lordy, lordy. All right. Guess I'm gonna get off here. Show y'all, my grandson said we didn't do much this weekend, but you know, he doesn't help me with doing laundry, and I wash some of his clothes and all of mine, both bedspreads and sheets and all that stuff, you know, plus doing dishes and cooking for everybody and all that. It ends up taking up time, and I think I'm just gonna pick all this up and do away with it as far as the tree bark mulch and all that. I was gonna put gravel in. I think I'm just gonna pick up all the framing and stuff, throw it in the burn pile, and clean this area up so I can just ride through there with the mower and keep it clean, keep it manageable, get all that plastic pulled up and so on. That's about the only way I can really keep it under control. So, and if y'all watch very long, you know those 4 55-gallon drums are full of potable drinking water, and I keep that full, plus I keep those 275-gallon IBC totes full of potable drinking water, and all the jugs I've got in the barn, pretty close to 1,000 gallons total. So I wanted to do a project on the generator and take that pull cord off and see if I could get a drill to spin that motor and crank it, instead of me having to pull it and pull it and pull it and try to get it to crank. That's what I was hoping for anyway. But also I went to fill the mower with my fuel pump over here. This old hand pump. I've had it for years. It's never let me down, but I went to fill this mower up day before yesterday, and I couldn't get it to pump. It just moving the handle, it wasn't siphoning and pulling the fuel up. So I ended up using a gas can. So that barrel's full, that one's a little over half, and this is about half. So I was working on the oldest barrel using that fuel first, so I could start refilling it when this one's done, and then I'd use this one and, you know, rotate through. But I'm gonna have to either take that pump apart and clean it, or just get a new pump. And I don't like to waste money. If I can take that one apart and clean it and get it to work, that's probably what I'm going to do. But all right, I'm gonna get off here, guys. I do appreciate y'all watching my videos, subscribing, hitting the thumbs up, all that good stuff. Nothing exciting on the video, but I have got some chores done. That nesting box being smaller definitely, to me, makes it feel better inside the roost, and it stopped those babies from roosting on top of it, from wanting to poop all over it and so on. But I've got to get some straw to put in there. Put a little bit of straw up under the nest, the rollaway part up front, which is right there. And that kind of gives the egg something to hit that's nice and soft. And then I need to put a little more straw in some of those nesting boxes. And I'm looking inside that nesting box right there. And from here, I can see there's either a blue or a green egg in there. So that Easter egger is still here. I was getting a blue and a green and then a pink one, which the pink was really hard to see unless you had it inside in good light up against the others. So I appreciate y'all. One of the teenage babies got into the last pen, and I didn't chase it out. Just left it in there with Sue and his girlfriend. I think it's going to be a rooster, by the way. We'll just have to see. See, I think that one right there, it may be a rooster, but it's acting like a hen. So you just don't know until they start crowing just about it. But thank y'all for watching. I do appreciate y'all. Remember what I've always told you. Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I. Y'all be safe and be prepared.